So this video will be different in that we're going to analyze a movie. That movie being Moonlight. This movie is up for the Oscar for Best Picture, and I think rightfully so. I want to start doing some other analyst videos and see if the formula still works, since there's only 13 episodes of Black Mirror and my channel would die pretty fast if I didn't. So in this analyst, we'll be looking at it from the 16 basic desires of motivation and Moonlight. Now what's that? So this guy, Dr. Stephen Rice, came up with a list of 16 basic desires that drive every human action. They range from saving, order, independence, the list goes on and on. Now I'm going to apply some of these to Moonlight, because I think a good chunk of the desires here drive the characters in this film. So the first part of this film starts with Little, Chiron as a little kid. Now this part will focus much more on Juan, who becomes sort of a father figure to Chiron. Chiron's mother, Paula, is a crack addict, and he doesn't really want to be home. Juan, on the other hand, is a drug dealer, but he comes to care for Chiron when he sees him getting bullied. He lets Chiron stay at his house and takes him from the beach, teaches him how to swim. Now, what's Juan's motivation for doing this? Here, I believe that desire is idealism, the need for social justice. He sees Chiron in a bad place in his life. I believe that he sees a little bit of himself in Chiron and wants to help Chiron become a man and put him on the right path. He also wants to improve a broken home that he sees between Chiron and his mother. Now the problem is he's part of the reason for Chiron's broken home. The best scene in the whole movie is when Juan confronts Chiron's mother, who is smoking crack down the block. Essentially, Juan criticizes her for not raising Chiron right, but she says that you sell me the crack. This provides a huge moral dilemma for Juan, because she's right. He's not going to stop selling her the crack. Juan desires to have a good living as a drug dealer. He lives in a nice house and he drives a very nice car. His desire to want to keep that living, while at the same time he wants to help Chiron. Juan has one of the biggest moral dilemmas in this film, and that when Chiron confronts him on that by asking if he's a drug dealer, Juan cannot bear the reality of what he does. And once again, he knows he's not going to stop. Juan wants to keep helping the boy and his family, who he helped destroy. He also knows that he's not going to change because of it, and the whole dinner table scene is really powerful and really shows this moral dilemma of Juan's coming to a head. We jump a little bit in this film to where Chiron is now a teenager in high school, where he really is an outcast who gets bullied in school by a much bigger, ASAP Rocky looking man called Tyrell and his group of friends. Chiron's desire, I believe, is the need for tranquility and order. Tranquility, the need for stable emotions, and order, the need for stability. Which is why I believe he still visits Teresa, who is Juan's girlfriend, even though Juan has died. He sees Teresa as a sense of a normal aspect of life, a loving mother, warm bed, and hot meals. Someone who isn't mean to him, and someone who shows him true love and affection. Notice how I didn't say the money. Even though she gives him money, I don't believe that's the reason why Chiron goes there. Everything that Teresa gives him is exactly the opposite of what Chiron's mother actually gives him. Paula desires crack. She takes Chiron's money and is still getting high 10 years after the Juan confrontation. Nothing changed in her life to make it better for her and her son. She only desires the rush that crack gives her, and that's why Chiron resents her. Chiron also desires social contact, which he finds in Kevin. Kevin, on the other hand, is an interesting case. Kevin's desires are once again conflicting, similar to how Juan's was. Kevin is Chiron's best friend, but I don't think it's the same in reverse. Kevin is seen talking to Chiron without Terrell and his friend seeing that. It's even the same when they were younger, only really ever we see them talking when they're away from the pack. Then we have the beach scene where Kevin gives Chiron a hand. So he desires the same kind of love that Chiron wants to. He desires the same kind of love in this homosexual relationship. But Kevin desires acceptance from the others. When Tyrell approaches him and they talk about the knockdown stayed down game that they played as a kid, which also coincidentally is called Smear the Queer. Tyrell wants Kevin to take down the one that needs to be knocked down. So Kevin then has to attack Chiron to fit in with the cool group. Here's where the desires conflict again. He wants to desire a friendship with Chiron and the desire to be friends with Tyrell. Kevin wants the greater acceptance from society as opposed to just Chiron. I think he sees siding with Chiron as then he would be ostracized and bullied the same as Chiron was. So here, the greater acceptance took the more meaningful acceptance. Oh, and one more thing about Chiron. Chiron's desire for a normal life is crushed at the end after he's beat on by Kevin and the gang. He desires to become vengeance. He could have told the service agent who beat him, but that wasn't enough for him. His desire was what he considered justice, by bashing a chair on Tyrell and getting arrested and sent to juvie. Even though it may not have been the greatest decision, that's what Chiron wanted, to get back at the bullies who have tormented him and beat him for who knows how long. So now we transport another 10 years to where Chiron is now in his 20s and has become essentially Juan. He's now a drug dealer and has bulked up so much to someone who does not get picked on. I think the desire of power is what chose him to become what Juan was. Because for the simple fact that Juan was the most powerful figure in Chiron's childhood. It's the same as wanting to become one's mother or their father. Juan happened to be the strongest figure because Chiron lacked a mother and a father. And Juan was a powerful, caring figure that Chiron remembers. Obviously, becoming a drug dealer is not really the best career path, as Juan was killed and his mother was a serious addict for all these years. But instead of escaping that, Chiron saw the power that Juan had, and he simulates himself back into that path. That might have to do with a lot more reflection when he was in juvie, and a lot more retrospective look back at his childhood. I also think that both Kevin and Chiron both have a mutual desire of romance to see each other again. As Kevin wouldn't have called Chiron, and Chiron certainly wouldn't have traveled all the way from Atlanta to Miami to see him. They both clearly have went down different paths. Kevin now being married with a kid, and Chiron becoming the drug dealer that he is. I think both of them push back on the desires of a relationship. As now, like I said, Kevin's married, and Chiron only saying he's ever been touched by Kevin. Now, they don't really say if Chiron has been with any other women or just any other person, and I'm not exactly sure if he has, but I don't believe are his true desires. I think who he is now is really a front to who he really is, a very fragile man. I think by the end, they both truly still feel for each other, some sort of way, shape, or form. The desires in this film truly drive each character. In the grand scheme of things, everyone controlled by what they want to do, and not necessarily by any outside figures. I think Chiron's tough upbringing made him the tough man that he eventually became. But at the same time, he's still not a complete opposite of who he was. He's still very quiet and he's very to himself. He acts on the desires of something better throughout his whole life, even when they may not come. So, that's a whole ton of stuff. I hope that I've done some justice to it. I want to start branching out a little bit, like I said before, try out movies and stuff. Comment, rate, subscribe. Tell me how you really feel down below. Constructive criticism is always allowed. Please let me know in the comments. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far. Even though I'm at 43 subs, that's more than I ever thought I would get. So everyone is greatly appreciated. I hope everyone has a great day.